Now, let's get into the one-time expenses, some common one-time expenses. Just, I want to get your brains working on what are some one-time expenses. So these are like kind of some startup expenses, some things that you did in the beginning that the buyer's not going to have to do, right? One of them, trademarks, copyrights, patents. If you have to go back and recast your financials and build your books from scratch, usually there's a cost associated with that. There's some CPAs and tax professionals and consultants that'll do that for you. It could cost you anywhere between $2,000 and $5,000, maybe as high as 10 if your financials are really, complicated. If you add in that accounting software, that expense, that's also a very fair add back. If you've had a one-time operational improvement, so a really good example of this is, let's say you're selling a product that you're sourcing from China, and you're paying $4 a unit for it, and then you renegotiate that for $2.50, and then so that's $1.50 change times the number of units for the last 12 months. That could be tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because you negotiated that. You've made an improvement that the buyer is going to reap the benefit from, but on your current financials, they are depicting the higher cost that you had, that $4 cost per unit. Now it's only $2.50. That's an add back. Throw that bad boy in there. Same thing with shipping and fulfillment. So if I had a client that had this situation where they were sending out their fulfillment company incorrectly. They were furious about this. Was sending out two packages for products that should have been bundled together. So instead of taking the first product and second product and putting them in the same box, they shipped them out individually. So the shipping cost was twice as much. Their pick and pack fee was twice as much. The fulfillment company got fired, but that's a great example of an add back. So here's some that you guys might be considering. What about websites and redesigning websites? That one depends. If you are frequently updating your website and optimizing and adjusting for conversion, for the highest conversion you can get, probably not going to be considered as an add back. But if, for instance, you've got a business that one time every 5 years, doesn't get redesigned, that's a good example of an add back. We can quantify that. So here's some not add backs. If you have an e-commerce product or you have a digital product and you're doing product development, you're doing iterations to it, you can't really get away with that as an add back. That's just continual maintenance. For people who have tech and SaaS and digital, technology related, internet technology related stuff, the initial architecture and or switching tech stacks, like if you move from one server system to another, that could be qualified as an add back. I'd put it in there. You just have to see what the buyer has to say about that. Remember, this is all the negotiation between a seller and a buyer. So the seller, they put it all out on the table, and the buyer, they chip away at stuff that they agree with, they don't agree with, and that becomes a negotiation. From a tech perspective, your maintenance and your enhancements, that's not going to qualify as an add back. Events, masterminds, trade shows, so things that are personal development related, if it's attendee and peer groups, those are add backs. So boom, slap that in there. If it's personal development where like you're sponsoring something and you're advertising something, that one you're not going to get away with as an add back. That's an advertising cost. Also, if you send employees to trade shows and conferences, that's not an add back either. Not that you shouldn't, you just won't get that as an add back. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications about new videos and interviews. And introduce yourself in the comments. Are you a buyer or a seller?